Hey everybody, it's me, Mrs. Whitaker. I'm joined by Maris and Yogi too. We are going to do a follow-up to our book that we read last week called America's White Table, about honoring our men and women that have served in the armed forces. And remember, those people are called veterans. And we're lucky enough to have Mr. Whitaker joining us today, and he's going to answer some of your questions about being a veteran and what it was like to be in the military. Remember, he was in the Army. So we're going to introduce Mr. Whitaker. Come on over, Mr. Whitaker. You're going to have to move Maris here. All right, Maris is going to be in our video today. I know you guys like to see Maris. She got a new toy. She's pretty excited about it. So, hi, Mr. Whitaker. Say hi to the kids for
Hello, everybody.
All right. So, one of the main questions, or one of the most popular questions we had from this was, did you miss your family when you were in the military?
Oh, I did, but I was 21, 22 years old at that point, so, and I'd been on my own. I'd been out of the house since I was 18, going to school, so I missed them. Around the holidays especially, but I was already getting into being an adult for a while.
All right, well that makes a lot of sense. So you were already kind of an adult when you joined the service. Were you happy when you were a soldier?
Most of the time I was happy. Sure, there were days I was not always happy. It was not always a lot of fun to be deployed or be out in the field training when the weather, especially when the weather was not good. So most of the time I was happy, yeah.
Do you think it was hard to be a soldier?
There were days it kicked your butt.
Yeah.
And there were days it was the easiest job in the world. If you're a soldier 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just like being a policeman or a fireman, you're always on duty. So
that's a really good point, Mr. Whitaker. Thanks for sharing that. Nicholas asked a really good question. He wanted to know if you had to exercise a lot when you were in the Army.
we did a lot of exercise. We were morning formation was at 6 o'clock every day. Well, 6 o'clock Monday through Friday, and as soon as formation was done and everybody was there and accounted for, we started doing physical training, which every day was something different, because you don't always work the same body. You don't work the same parts of your body every day. So we did a lot of push-ups, sit-ups, and different abs and upper body workouts. We did a lot of running, a lot of marching, but we spent a solid hour of doing something every Monday through Friday, every morning.
Well, it sounds like it's really important to be in good shape if you're a soldier. Cameron wanted to know if you got to use a computer when you're in the Army. He really likes computers, and he's thinking about getting a job where he has to use one. Would this be a good thing for him if he wanted to use computers?
Yeah, nowadays, computers are used for a lot of things in the Army, or in all branches of the service. Whether you're in the Navy, on a boat, submarine, aircraft carrier, there's always something going on with a computer. They're always working with computers now. When I was in, computers were just starting to come on. And that was around 1992 to 95, so computers were just coming into play then.
That was a long time ago, Mr. Whitaker. You must be a pretty old guy. Were you scared when you were in the Army?
Scared, everybody gets scared at some point in time, but no, not. You do a lot of training, and through your training, you just don't have time to be scared. You just do what you got to do.
Sounds like they prepare you for being a soldier. So we know you're a veteran because you were in the Army. Do you have to do anything when you're a veteran?
No. When you're done and you're out, unless you join the National Guard. And if you do the National Guard, then you're, 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks out of the summer. You still got to maintain your physical training and your physical skills. Granted, you don't do it every day like you do if you're in the regular military, but now, once you're out of service, you're out.
Now, this next question, I have a feeling this person is a little confused. I think they mixed up the word veteran and vegetarian, because Alexis wanted to know if you eat meat.
Oh, yes. Yes.
He does. I think Alexis is thinking of vegetarian, and that's a person that only eats vegetables and plants. Mr. Whitaker likes to grill, so we know he eats meat. What was it like when you were deployed?
So I was deployed a couple of times, and one time was to Haiti, and we were in Haiti for about 4 months from September of 1994 to January of 95, and You know, that's go right through the holidays. I was not married. I was still single, and being away from my family wasn't always a lot of fun. But we were in Haiti, and Haiti's surrounded by water. I love the water. Beautiful beaches down there when we had free time. But being deployed, I would say would be it was hard on people, especially the married guys. A lot of people had issues being away from their families if they were married and had kids. I didn't mind it. I was single, so you're working the whole time you're there. You're working. You're always on duty, whether you're sitting back in your barracks on your cot, relaxing, reading a book, watching a movie, whatever it would be. Your weapon is pretty close by, within arm's distance. So you're always on duty when you're deployed.
So, for those of you that didn't understand that, barracks, that's what they call the places where the deployed soldiers set up camp. Barracks is sort of like your house. A cot is a little tiny bed that they would sleep on. You don't get a regular bed like you do when you're at home. So, Nicholas wanted to know, why do you think there's bad guys, Mr. Whitaker? Why do you think we have to have things going on like this?
There's bad guys everywhere. The military is there to protect us from foreign countries. Just know that the military is not deployed to police America. That's not their job. They may show up someplace. You may have seen them at some point. You may have seen some National Guard this summer, just protecting buildings. But there's bad guys everywhere. So we have a strong military, and remember, it's also a voluntary military that you're not made to join. So the job there is just to be a force and make sure no bad guys come into the country to take it over.
So, if you could tell us, why do you think you joined the Army? What was one of the reasons that you felt like that was something? I know you just said that it was voluntary. That means it's your choice. So, why did you choose to do that?
At the time I chose, I was 21, and I had been going to school, to college, and was tired of paying for it on my own, and the Army had a program for the GI Bill, which all branches of the service have the GI Bill. The Army, as long as you went into a combat job, you got an Army College Fund kicker on top of that, and with my job being a combat arms, I was able to get a little over $40-some thousand in college money after I got out of the service.
Wow, so that makes it a great option for some people that don't think that they can pay for college. I was wondering, when you were talking about that, what did your parents think when you said that you wanted to be in the military? Were they worried about you?
My mom was worried. When I was 17, she would have had to have signed for me to go, and she did not sign my papers for me to go. And
so that's why you waited to join until you were a little older?
So I waited until I was older and had gone through a little bit of school on my own and just got tired of paying for it on my own. So let the military, let the government pay me to go to school.
Well, that's some really interesting stuff, Mr. Whitaker. I just have one last question, and this comes from Emily. She wants to know if the military is a good option for everyone, and if it's not, are there specific characteristics that help when you're considering joining a branch of the military?
Well, each branch of the service runs separately from the other. Each of them has a benefit, and each of them has a benefit to each and every individual that joins. I chose the Army because I wanted the college money, and I did my 3.5 years just to get the college money. I'd always wanted to be in the military. I chose the Army for the college money. That was the best way to go about it. The Marines, they offer the same sort of programs. The Navy and the Air Force are more technical.
So that might be a good option for our friends that were asking about computers.
If you're into computers, the Navy and the Air Force are probably the two better ways to go. The Army and the Marines, they're more on the ground and going to be fighting. They do have jobs that are with computers and more or less running things, running the troops in the field. You've seen the drones, you've heard about drones. Those are all done from hundreds and thousands of miles away with a computer. So as far as the different branches of the service, you need to look into them and see what interest you have to do. I never thought when I went in I was going to be a forward observer for field artillery, and that's what I ended up doing.
Can you explain a little bit about that? Those are some big words you're using, Mr.
Yes.
Whitaker.
So the forward observer in the field artillery, so field artillery those are the guys shooting the cannons. Some of those are on wheels and some of those are not. Now they're not tanks. They're called howitzers, just great big cannons. A forward observer, his job is to know where you're at all times when you're in the field, whether it's a war zone or a training exercise. You have a map and you need to know where you're at. You need to know where your comrades are. If they're flanking you if they're up to your left or to your right, you need to know where they're at. That way when the cannons start shooting or the mortars start shooting, you're not blowing up your friendly forces, you're blowing up the bad guys. So that's a forward observer's job, is to know where you're at and know where to put the field artillery rounds.
Wow, it sounds like you had to know a lot of different kinds of things. Boys and girls, I'd like to say thank you to Mr. Whitaker for joining us today. This was pretty awesome to learn about what happens when you're in the military and how it is to be a veteran. I know he was really excited when I told him that we were reading this story this year. We all said thank you to him, and if you have a veteran in your life, make sure you say thank you to them as well. One last thing, if you are interested in any of the branches of military or you'd like to learn a little bit more about what it might be like to be in the Army or the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, the Coast Guard, or the National Guard, you can check out Section 60 in our library at Oslo. I have lots of different books about the military and different kind of weapons that they use. And if you need help finding that, you can always come find your friendly neighborhood librarian, Mrs. Whitaker. Until next time, we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.